And it's like, what about him? Like again, he never ran. No one cared. And with this now, this was not only did you guys not want Hillary to run because she couldn't be trusted because of not only eating babies, but the email on the private server, having people killed. But it's like, which again, there has to be some more evidence. There's the videos, but stuff.
There doesn't have to be more evidence. There has to be more evidence to charge them criminally. But for you as a person to be like, I've seen enough. I'm convinced this person is not good. There doesn't have to be more evidence.
Yeah, I need to look into it because I kind of just.
No, it's fine. I'm sorry. Were you saying?
But no. What I was saying is
they don't trust.
But it was the whole like email. She needs to go to prison. All that shit. And then here we are. Not only were on Trump's first administration, them using WhatsApp, which is an encrypted server, and not what they should be using. But with this, they won't even answer whether it was on the government official phone or if it was on the personal phone. You had one of the people over in Russia who then obviously the shit got hacked into while they were there or whatever, because Russia now has it. So all this shit going on, and it's like, and you don't care. This is national security.
One of the things that
is unacceptable.
One of the people that actually were a part of this thread that we're going to talk about today was actually in Russia at the time.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He was in Russia at the fucking time. And it's like, it's just, it's unprofessional. It's inept. It's incompetent. It is every fucking failure that you can think of. Yeah. And what would you know by the people that have failed so many times that they were to point these fucking losers in these positions?
By the way, this story is written by the guy that got added to the group chat. So this was the best source I could think of to go to for the information. So like I said, and what kind of we're talking about. So I guess let's lay it out specifically for people that don't follow the news super closely. So recently there was an attack in Yemen where the United States was going to do a kind of covert attack on the Houthis over there. Previous to that, this guy, Jeffrey Goldberg, and he's a right-leaning journalist and all that. He got added, but he's kind of anti-Trump. Mm-hmm. He got added to this group text where several officials were discussing what was going to end up being an attack on the Houthis in Yemen. So I have that here. I don't know if this includes the text. I also did grab the text, so we'll get into that as well, because those ended up getting leaked because Pete Hegseth came out after this all happened. It was basically like there was no war plans in there. He's lying, so on and so forth.
It has their names on it.
So it does have their names on it. It does have some of the back and forth. That was posted from what is it, Brian Klippenstein or whatever the fuck? Yeah. Motherfuckers everywhere. Shout out to him. Ken Klippenstein, I think might be his name. I'm gonna get it when we get to that point of the conversation. But just shout out to that guy. And let's go ahead and read a little bit of this article and let me know how you feel about it in the comments. And Paul, hop in here and you let me know how you feel about anything I'm reading. So the Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat, which is just a crazy fucking thing, about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling. And like I said, this is from the specific guy. He's an editor at The Atlantic. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern time on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plans at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. This is going to require some explaining.
Brother, like honestly, this is what happens. And listen, I get it. Politicians are dorky. Okay, they're weird. They have their quirks. Okay, it's boring. Politics isn't fun. And I get that. Okay, it's not supposed to be. You want to know who you want to be the person that runs the law and order and runs things. The person who doesn't mind reading it all, doesn't mind double checking, is so manic or so nerdy that this is what they actually give a fuck about. That they're not the coolest fucking people. And we went into this with a popularity contest as let's go ahead and vote in the cool kids. And this is what the fuck happened.
Hold on. Okay, you got to explain that because I'm not exactly clear.
Because people voted this. I'm not saying that's most people or all people, but a good portion of people just thought Trump is funny. They all say, okay. oh, we know that what he says is kind of fucked up, but it's funny. Come on. And we know that he kind of, but Paul, come on. He's not a politician. He's not like everyone else. And it's like, but this isn't a game. This isn't fucking Uncle Donald at the fucking bonfire or at Thursday night dinner making you laugh.
Yeah.
This shit matters. And then when this is what's going on, it's like, where is more outrage? Like this was minuscule as opposed to what it could have been that got leaked and with who it could have been that it got leaked to. Mm-hmm. Luckily, it was this guy and not someone that actually is a big fucking player somewhere else. Because it's not like he was purposely at it. So obviously it was an accident, right? So what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, probably, but who knows?
So it's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, I agree with that. So this is actually Pete Hegseth. This is him getting on Twitter. This is before the text messages were actually leaked. So I just want to let you know what he had to say. So let me get this straight. The Atlantic released this so-called war plans. And those plans include no names, no targets, no locations, no units, no routes, no sources, no methods, and no classified information. Those are some pretty shitty war plans. This only proves one thing. Jeff Goldberg has never seen a war plan or an attack plan, as he now calls it. Not even close. As I type this, my team and I are traveling the Indo-PACOM region, meeting with commanders, the guys who make real war plans, and talking to troops. We will continue to do our job while the media does what it does best, peddle hoaxes. Hoaxi. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Sounds great. And then when the pictures come out, you fucking lied. So again, where are the people who then take that lie and go, you know what, man, I can't trust you. Instead, it's always a well, Paul, you know that Hunter Biden. Paul, you know that Joe Biden. So you say, okay, but let's talk about now, because what I was told was that Donald Trump was his leader. That Donald Trump was able to go ahead and put all the right people in the right positions to be successful. Mm-hmm. Well, where is that? Oh, well, he's a billionaire, so he knows the economic plans. He doesn't. He's not an economist. He's a real estate developer. This is what it is. Like every business failed. He made his money through real estate, which is great. He's great at it. But it's like, come on, man. This like it's just a game, and we got fucking. It's been what, a month and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. With Kamala, you might have hated Kamala, but would this shit have happened?
I mean,
it's safe to assume.
Yeah, who could say, really? Well, here, let's get into the text messages real quick. Just because
I'm sorry for my
no, you're good. I want to let you rant, but then I want to get into the text here. So this is Michael Waltz. This is the guy that took credit. Is taking fall for the mistake. He supposedly added him to the group chat here, but this is how we go ahead and we open it up. Team establishing the principal group for coordination on Houthis, particularly for over the next 72 hours. My deputy, Alex Wong, is pulling together a Tiger team at deputy's agency chief of staff level, following up from the meeting in the sit room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Please provide the best staff, POC, so point of contact, from your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple of days and over the weekend. Thanks. And then everybody kind of throws out who they nominate to be the person communicated with on these bombs getting dropped on people's heads. Let's check it out here. So, team, you should have a statement. This is from Michael Waltz again. Team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. State and DOD, we developed suggested notification lists for regional allies and partners. Joint staff is sending this AM a more specific sequence of events in the coming days, and we will work with DOD to ensure COS, OVP, and POTUS are briefed. Now, this is JD Vance, and this is interesting because this is actually a little bit of pushback. So this is interesting to be able to see these kind of like conversations when these people don't think that we're privy to them. So JD Vance says, team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez. 40% of European trade does. There's a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. Any opinion there, by the way?
I don't disagree with them right now.
Okay, beautiful. The strongest reason to do this, and the only reason I ask is because I think when there's this kind of like dissension, for us who we're maybe actually on this side, I think it's actually important for us to celebrate that, because it's actually, I'm not a JD Vance fan as it stands, but I do actually appreciate him being willing to give this pushback amongst these people, which obviously from the outside looking in, it looks like they love nothing more than just alignment and yes men. So I appreciate his willingness to say, you know, hey, this might not be something that people are going to be that well received on. Now he does follow up to say how they can achieve it in a better way, possibly. But go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is with that, before, I feel like what JD Vance, remember, was before skeptical and critical of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has never been big on JD Vance, but I feel like JD Vance has always been the Heritage Foundation plan. He plays into the whole far Christian right, the Christian nationalist part of it all. No, Trump's the microphone, but JD Vance is the kind of poster child to me. But it's funny to where we've now had this and then the leak. I don't know if you've heard the audio of JD Vance talking about Elon Musk and how Elon. I've shared it on.
I think people said that was fake though, but
okay, I have to look to see if it was fake. I mean, I shared it yesterday. So
he said it was fake already. Because I saw a pastor that reposted it. He threatened to sue the pastor and said it was fake. But either way, I mean, I'm just saying, that's what I heard. It was skeptical.
So again, so going from that to this, it seems like okay. At least there is, like you said, not so much yes men, which that would be great, because it's like this isn't the place where we have just yes men all around you.
Well, ideally, it would be nice if there were American interests being actually represented, even if the way they're represented isn't exactly, doesn't exactly line up with mine, and the reasoning may not, and exactly his motives behind this may not. And also, like I said, I am going to get into the bottom half of the message where he kind of talks about like, hey, maybe we can do some messaging on this and it'll help people be more receptive to it down the line. So, I mean, he's not completely shutting it down,
right.
But at the same time, I understand like he's in a complicated situation, and how you push back on these issues, you have to be crafty. You have to be crafty about it. So, but let me go ahead and finish this real quick. The strongest reason to do this is, as POTUS said, to send a message. But I'm not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I am willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. So, I mean, like a fair take, like I said, still not exactly where I'm at, but where our ideology doesn't line up either. So it's like, I do think that he's at least approaching it with some critical thinking and some kind of reasoning behind it.
And at least some intellectual honesty. Like, and that's, and again, I can always disagree with you, but as long as it's coming from somewhere from that position, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just a disagreement.
So this is Joe Kent. There is nothing time sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. The Israelis will likely take, this motherfucker is just bloodthirsty. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor factor. I will send you the unclassed data we pulled on BAM shipping. Then this is John Ratcliffe. From CIA perspective, we are mobilizing assets to support now, but a delay would not negatively impact us. And additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. VP.
Now is that Vladimir Putin? No, it's probably vice president. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I saw a thing on that and I died laughing. I'm like, all right, we can't split everything.
Yeah,
most likely vice president. But.
Yeah, this is Pete Hegseth now. He says, VP, I understand your concern and fully support you raising with POTUS important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. Then he has in parentheses here, economically, Ukraine peace, Gaza, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what, because Americans don't want this. So that's why the messaging is tough, because the messaging is basically about convincing us like we're fucking children. We don't want to be involved in this kind of shit.
But I thought I thought that party was against the indoctrination part of shit.
I don't know. Nobody knows who the Houthis are. I mean, that's another thing. He's saying nobody knows who the Houthis are, which essentially what he's saying is because it has a very little effect on the average person in America. So like even what JD Vance was saying, as far as like 3% of shipments coming through the Suez Canal, compared to 40% from Europe. And what he's saying with that being inconsistent with the messaging on Europe is because the United States was just posturing with the whole Ukraine thing and saying that they need to pay their fair share, so on and so forth, and that America's not going to sit here and do all this shit for Europe while they sit back and, don't pony up the money. So obviously that's why he's saying it's inconsistent. So nobody knows who the Houthis are. This is Pete Hegseth, just to remind everybody, which is why we would need to stay focused. One, Biden failed. And two, Iran funded. That's so fucking funny. Yeah, it's such a scumbag.
God, I hate him. And again, please.
Kent, by the way, hold on. No, I want to talk to Kent real quick. This will be real quick. Yep. Kent, think about what they're saying right now, brother. And this is all MAGA and people that I have some love for, honestly.
We love you.
And like I said before, when we have debated this, like MAGA conversation, I see a lot of these MAGA people in 3 years as class allies. When they wake up from the fact that they're being fucking robbed by robber barons, they're going to be part of our class, 100%. Middle class, fucking working poor at that point. And I mean, there's going to be a lot for us to band together around, I hope, if they wake up. But people from MAGA, think about how they're talking about this right now, where they're like, hey, the messaging is going to be kind of pointless, because they're saying like people don't want this. And then he's saying what we need to stay focused on is just focus on blaming the past president, which has no impact right now. Like, right, it doesn't have a material impact now anymore, like going forward. And then Iran funded, which, like I said, that's just kind of more kind of terror speak and really leaning on that fear that we have of, people that have lived through 9/11, lived through the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. So they're really playing on that. And they're especially still playing on that when they're shipping people, people who are migrants, where they're shipping them to countries that they're not even from to be put in prisons. Like, all of that is being used on the Illegal Alien Act, which is all based around just othering people and treating them as if they don't even deserve due process, to make sure that the claims that are made against them are actually substantiated, which everybody that's in this country is owed. Even if you're illegal. Even if you're illegal, the Bill of Rights specifically is not limited to people who are citizens in this country. So you still have the right to due process, and you at least have the right to make your claim of, hey, this is a fucking rose tattoo that symbolizes my mom or whatever. I'm not a fucking member of a gang. And then you're not going to send me to a prison to them to celebrate my arrival because it's slave labor. So by the way, Trump, I don't want to be hyperbolic because I like to be a little bit of a fucking middle ground here, but the reality is that we're participating in basically slave trade at that point, 100%. That's what that is.
If you lay it out like that,
there's really no other way, because this is you're sending them to a prison that is being investigated humanitarianly for this exact claim. So it's like, all of it is calculated. I don't think that it's by accident, and I want to let you go because I don't want to.
No. What I was going to say is that's looking at it without the rose-colored glasses. That's the reality of the situation. Again, man, like in this country, and again, as a patriot, as someone who loves this country, loves the Constitution, loves what we stand for, loves everything about what I was raised to believe in. Right? Everybody, once you're on this soil, you are innocent until proven guilty. Right? You're supposed to be afforded that ability. And yes, I understand you want to say, well, they're here illegally. A lot of people, I think, don't understand what the legal process is. And and they just throw out the word illegal, and it makes them now someone that's bad. When you got to think about what the process is, what asylum seeking is, all that. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's just what I've learned with talking to a lot of people who think opposite of me. It's not that I think you're bad. I don't think that you're dumb. I think that we're just a little bit apart here. And what I think is that you want honesty as much as I want honesty. And what the deflection would be with this is, well, Paul, James, you know what? Democrats do that too. They lie too. And it's it's I get the argument, but this is what you see. This is the guy that you're telling me is supposed to be running the Defense Department. This is the guy who he's supposed to be someone that we can trust, that we can lean on to lead our fucking men and women who serve in the military. Yeah, this is their leader. Yeah, right. And it's like, and he's flat out telling you, if it's not good enough politically, if it doesn't move the needle enough for us, it's not worth it. And everything needs to be something that we can manipulate the American people to then be okay with. And you should at least be able to have the integrity to say, hey, listen, I disagree with that. That's bad.
I'm just going to pause you for 1 second, Paul. No, because I want to shout out SJ here. Thank you for hopping in the comments with us. Due process and judicial review is absolutely being circumvented under current admin. And yeah, 100%. 100%. So we were just touching on and completely agree with that. And the thing is, right now, it's a group of people that a huge portion of the society has been convinced to completely demonize and think of as they're like rapists and criminals and killers and all this kind of shit. But in reality, it'll consistently be a different group. I mean, you see also the Palestinian guy that was at Columbia that got deported, and he was here legally. And just he wasn't using his free speech from the free speech fucking party, the free speech, not even party. This is specifically supposed to be a specifically strong free speech administration, and just willing to trounce on that every single opportunity that they get. And I think that, to deny that is to bury your head in the sand. And I appreciate your comment here, SJ. And I'm curious, I'm assuming that you may or you may not be a Trumper, but I am curious on the Trumper perspective as far as like, are we burying our heads in the sand? Are we being a little hyperbolic here on this podcast? I don't think so, but I'd like to see how you guys are receiving this and how do you justify it? Yeah, but I'm sorry, did you have something?
No, I was gonna say, if that's what I think it is, it's Sanjay. I think he thinks more like us. Nice. But I think that it's just a lot of, we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with exactly what we're seeing. And just and it's kind of, what's the word? It's not cynical, but whatever, cynical, whatever. I'm not gonna remember the word, but it goes in cycles all the time. I mean, in this country, there's always been a demographic, and not just this country. It's throughout society. There's always been someone or something that the people go against, and it goes back to our earlier conversation about AI, robots, and all that. Clones. We're treating immigrants in this country as if they're not human beings, and if there's a question mark on whether or not they deserve to be treated like human beings. And it's like, and that's what I don't get. And especially for people who are supposed to have so much passion, and for people that I love and I respect and I care about and I like and I talk to and I associate myself with, I just look at it and go, what the fuck, man? And especially there's people close to me that you're here because of the same opportunities and the same benchmarks or the same asylum seeking as what these people are trying to do. The Venezuelans that got deported, those weren't criminals.
Well, so some of them may have been, and I don't even have an issue.
My bad, wrong group.
Well, no, this is my thing.
The Haitians they deported too.
This is my thing. I don't have an issue with like democracy in like that there is a like deportation did win at the ballot box. There's no denying 100%. That. I don't necessarily love that, but people that are here illegally, there was a big contingent of the American people that want to crack down on that. And I have to respect that as somebody who respects democracy, but I also respect due process more than anybody can imagine, because once that breaks down, then it's like I said, you don't even have to, a lot of these people so the government's not willing to tell us who any of them are. We're kind of finding out because now family members are coming out being like, oh, hey, my fucking cousin got taken. He's not a fucking gang member. Like a lot of this shit is happening. So yeah, when you don't have these checks and balances and the government feels like it's not accountable because they have, a mandate to hear them say it. Well, that's fascist. You know what I mean? If they could pull you off the street and they could put you on an airplane and not tell anybody where they sent you, or tell people where they sent you, but not tell people if you're on the plane. That's fascism that we're experiencing. There's not even a question that that's the direction that we're headed. Now, I guess there's some level that we would have to like wrestle with as far as like, has the American people spoken, and is this the direction they want to go? I don't think so. I think that they played on a economic nerve that people are very frustrated and they want answers and they feel like they couldn't trust the Democrats. Even like the thing is, the Democrats got turned down because the trustworthiness went down. So like people that were left leaning, a lot of people were going to withhold their vote, not show up to vote. They weren't energized. There were a lot of people that ended up, unfortunately, being motivated from the right because of just them playing on the distrust factor. Like, and a lot of people were persuaded by that. I don't trust either or. So I was demobilized by the left, which I align more with, and I didn't vote for Kamala. We talked about that already. I voted for Jill Stein. So it's like I would never vote for Trump ever, and I don't agree with anything that he stood for, but I also, in good conscience, I felt like I would be blindly giving the Democrats my vote based off kind of like relatively where our ideology stands. I don't agree with not pushing for free healthcare for all, because now all of a sudden you don't have to, because you feel like you're running against a fascist. So you don't have to actually stand on what I felt like the principles of the party had been for 10 years. Again, so I just want to read this real quick and then I'll give it to you. So the only free speech they care about is that, oh, nice. And then we got another comment slide through here. So the only free speech they care about is that which they agree with. I agree with that. And to their point, when there was other free speech being cracked down on, like say even like hate speech, which is something I don't agree with, but I don't think it should be completely censored, unless it's calling for violence and all that. There's actually some agreement here, between like there's some bipartisan agreement on free speech, but I totally agree that both sides. And then now you're seeing it actively being put to use from the right, where you see like Elon Musk fucking banning people that hurt his feelings. Well, except Assassin's Creed. I don't know if you saw Assassin's Creed fucking roasted.
I did not see that.
I almost bought the game, but no, I can't.
But I just, before I forget, like the immigration issue being a hot topic for voting, and it was. I wish people then understood and cared more about the bipartisan bill being voted down, and it being even said by Mike Johnson on Fox News that it was because the president being Trump didn't want it to be passed because it would hurt him politically. And it's like that, like, again, that shit should matter. I guess it didn't, and it doesn't, but it's just, I don't know if people thought it was going to be this extreme, but I do want to re-clarify that. Yes, I understand that there were Venezuelan like actual criminals. Sure. But again, I just think that we get so caught up in the whole. But
the thing is,
and all of it.
I think you just made a too strong of a statement. I actually agree, though. I think, of course, they're most likely. I mean, if our government's not completely incompetent, most likely there were some criminals that got shipped back, or not even didn't get shipped back, got shipped to another country than even their country of origin, straight to a prison. Completely fucking ridiculous. If you get deported from this country, you should at least be sent back to your country. Is all I'm saying. Like at the very fucking least. But hold on. Just to my point is like, so of course there were some people that were criminals. The same logic goes, if there's no accountability, most likely there were people that shouldn't have been on 100%. The fucking and so it's like, if there's even one person that shouldn't be being shipped to a fucking prison for most likely life, like I said, this is a prison that is not just a normal prison. This is a prison that's being investigated, like because they treat people inhumanely. Like, so it's like,
how did they get caught if they were undocumented?
Let me just read this real quick, but then we can get into that. So illegality was never the real issue for the MAGA crowd. There's a defined portion of them, Stephen Miller is one of them, that's very racially driven and largely motivated to remove any non-whites. So I don't doubt. The thing is, So yeah, I agree with your point that there's a portion of them. But I think that that's kind of like there's a Venn diagram there where there's a lot of people that doesn't apply to, though. There's a lot of people that are MAGA that are just like, we want people who are illegal out. And specifically that is
and not understanding what the illegal status is.
And also that, also that. And also maybe even not that. I think they may have been convinced through all the talk of like the asylum seekers being full of shit and all that. So there's some ideology there that we're going to disagree with, but I don't necessarily think that that's couched in like we need people who aren't white out of here. Although I would agree with you that basically how it goes like this, where like, you know, like not all MAGA are Nazis, but basically all Nazis are going to be MAGA. You know what I mean?
100%,
if they're going to have some alignment,
the racists will not be liberal.
Most likely
racists.
The racists in that way are not going to be, because they're also fascists, which I think is what we're experiencing.
But what I want to say is that but yeah, I don't know, man, because
thank you, Matt, by the way, for that comment. And they also said, notice they never target European illegals.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say is that they never went at the Russians, they never went at the Ukrainian immigrants or the Irish or the Italian, which, you know, there are illegal immigrants in those crowds. Okay. And it's like, and as far as when we want to talk about whether you agree or disagree with the fact that asylum seeking is legal, it is legal. You lose that argument. It is legal. It's whether you want it to be or not. So then they're not illegal. And again, how do these people get deported if they're not documented? So they are documented. They're here through the legal process. Well, that's how you're able to go to their address.
Well, not necessarily, because you could have got information on these individuals.
Well, there's shit like that, sure. Yeah. Or what Charlotte County's been doing, which I will blow the whistle on. If you want to fucking pay attention, download the app and look through the last, I don't know, when did Trump win the election? November. Yeah. So it's from about December till now, which Bill Promo, hold on, what did Bill Promo get appointed to? The ICE, the whole little fucking, not foundation, but the ICE group, the people running it, the task force. But anyways, you'll see that there's so many immigrants, Hispanic people, males, of Hispanic origin, are being arrested for operating a vehicle without a license. And it's such a funny little slap on, make you a criminal. And it's what are you going to do? What are you doing? Targeting and pulling over vehicles being driven by an obvious Hispanic man to see if their license is legit, to see if it's valid, which again, are they breaking the law? Sure fucking thing. But are you profiling? Yes. Are we doing it for a political reason? I feel like it, because it's got picked up since then.
In some cases, it could be profiling, of course, and I'm not denying that happens. But it also could be like there's somebody here illegally that is like speeding and gets pulled over, and then you find out they're here illegally. And then honestly, for me, that's the thing. That's where
statistically,
and we might agree on this. I'm curious your opinion, because you might still say like, oh no, that person shouldn't be deported. But I would say that if you can find out somebody is here illegally, then I'm willing to concede on that ground and say that people should come here illegally. If somebody gets found out that they're illegal through some kind of happenstance, even though there's going to be times that it's going to be heartbreaking, and where the individual case, I'm going to be like, this is fucked up and I don't agree with it. That is law, though. Sometimes law plays out that way. Yeah, sometimes it does play out that way. But I'm willing to concede on those grounds, because I think that there is some reasonable kind of like agreement that we could come to there. Where I can't is like living in some kind of police state, like kind of like what you're describing, where, you know, like I remember Arizona had this issue when they passed a law where they made it legal to where you could just ask people for their papers, and then there was a big fight over that. It's like, do I think that like just based off looking at somebody, should you be able to just be like, hey, can I see your papers, and can you prove that you're an American citizen? That I think is violating some level of privacy and just dignity that people should have in public. So I wouldn't agree there. But like I said, if somebody ends up getting caught breaking the law in some way, and it'd be unfortunate if it was something like speeding, obviously, but you end up finding out the person's illegal, I understand why that person needs to be deported now, because they did break the law coming into the country, and there's kind of just like a level of trust that's been broken down if you acknowledge that, where, you know, where even I could still empathize with the person's position of like wanting to get into America and enjoy American life,
which that's the next thing I want to say is that's my whole thing. Is like, listen, man, these people, like majority of people, even if they come here illegally, they just want the opportunity. They want to be here. They're escaping something, or they're trying to work and do all this. And it really befuddles me, if I'll use that word, that people will be so against that idea and that thing and say, well, I'm not against that. They just need to go through the process. And it's like, well, it's such a long and tiring process. But you're so okay with the whole gold card. That is pay $5 million if you're from South Africa, and then you get a fast track to citizenship.
So we would have a more nuanced argument on that, because I agree with the first half of that, where it's like, where I already kind of had laid out my stance there. But I wouldn't agree with like money should put you on the fast track to becoming a U.S. citizen. I completely disagree with that. And I disagree with like the H-1B1 situation, because I believe that there's evidence that depresses American wages, where the argument, and I think there's I understand the argument to a certain degree, where it's like at just point blank period, people should, one, we should know who's coming into the country. And then two, you should do it the right way, because there's other people that may be adversely affected by you doing it the wrong way that are trying to do it the right way. So it's just all about fairness. Now on this, in the same breath, I'll say this, that I don't think that we should be spending a bunch of resources, we shouldn't be militarizing our police forces, and we shouldn't be spending a bunch of resources within our police forces to go, or these departments like ICE and stuff like that, to round up illegals. I don't think we should really be out there looking for it. We should make sure our border is secure. And then, like I said, if people commit crimes and they're here illegally, then they should go. And unfortunately, there's going to be some petty crimes that people end up being affected by. And that saddens me, because me as a person, I could see past that. I could kind of like, look at the individual situation. But at the end of the day, that's just kind of the game you're playing. If you're going to come in here illegally, then that is the game you're playing. That if we catch you, it's hide and seek a little bit.
And then every car should have a breathalyzer, so that way no one could illegally drink and drive, and we'll make the road safer. Well, we should do.
Well, but that's not what I'm suggesting.
No, I know. I'm playing off of like the idea.
Well, but when we're having the conversation, though,
I don't know.
Well, I see what you're saying, but I'm not taking it as it's directed at me, because, like I said, I'm not saying that we should be racially profiling people and asking for their papers. I'm just saying that the border should be secure, because you should be able to limit people from crossing the border illegally. Like, that's our responsibility. If we're going to hold people accountable for it, at the same time, we should try to prevent it. I think that's fair.
100%. But what I'm saying is, to the people who their whole concept is that it's illegal, so stop, like so who cares? Because there's gonna be people who are going to disagree and say that no, you should be able to profile, we should be able to just
but I would
round them up. So what I'm saying is, to those people, that's fine. If that's the way, then we need to do it with everything. Then every way that you can break the law, we need to find a way to prevent it from happening ever, and then rounding you up beforehand. Because it's just I hear people are humans, so it's like I feel like we as a society,
but it's not just a little mistake. It's a lot of steps to get it to legally.
Yeah, you have to go ahead across the continent. I mean, what a decision.
I feel you. It's just tough, because like one thing here,
I'm a sympathizer.
I know I feel your argument, but it's just, it doesn't really apply to my argument. So it's like my argument, I would account for both 100%. Of those things. You know what I mean? I would account for both those things. And I think that I wouldn't want to infringe on people's liberties. Even people who are here illegally have some level of right, and they're protected here. So it's like, I don't want to infringe on that. And also, the way I sympathize is a lot of those people, I do think, contribute to our society running in a fashion that it does. And I don't think that they are adversely affecting Americans in the same way that, like, people that are coming over and taking high-paying tech jobs from people who are thousands of dollars in debt. And then you have Tesla and these other places that are advocating and saying, well, we need that in order to keep up with our innovations and all this kind of shit. And the reality is that they want to bring people over from India and pay them less and put them in a subservient position to where their citizenship is based off of their employment. And rather than having American
freedom to do whatever,
American worker who could work there and be like, okay, I want to get another job because you guys aren't giving me a raise, or whatever the situation might be. The thing is, they are intentionally subverting the American worker in that way. So it's like, I think that 100% should be addressed. And if you're a MAGA person and you're not upset about that being addressed in a strong way, then I have to question your consistency and your ideology.
Right.
Because another thing is So let's look at it. One, I think that it's a complete bullshit argument and actually offensive to the American worker to say that when we don't work hard, because people work their asses off, 100%. Work their lives away, work their way into crippling physical condition for their jobs in this country. And I know they do in other countries, but I'm saying don't get misconstrued on what the American worker does. They work until they can't fucking work anymore. And then they starve to death. So it's like, or will starve to death soon. But where was I? I'm sorry. The American worker.
Yeah, H1B1.
Oh, H1B1. Yeah.
Insulting to American workers.
Yes. So my thing is, so look at it both ways. I disagree with the concept that like Vivek was putting out, where he's like, there's Americans don't work hard enough. There's not enough American workers. I know so many people that are extremely capable, went to college and then cannot find a job that pays them more than what like somebody who is a manager at a gas station or something like that makes. And they went and they invested in their education. And not to say that the person that busts their ass at the gas station shouldn't be paid well, compensated well, they should. But the point being is that you have workers that could do these jobs, people that are college educated in this country that don't have work, that don't have college educated work. And then also, so let's just say that they're not actually able to do the job. Then you know what we should require from the companies in this country? To invest in the American worker, invest in your workforce, not go outside the country and grab Indians and shit like that to come over here and work as at a fucking slave job where they can't even leave the job without getting deported. No, invest in the American worker, invest in the Americans' education, make education more affordable through subsidies through these companies that need the workers, for fuck's sake. Like all these kind of things can happen. And in the country, how it stands today, these are things that it's left up to the individual to completely fund your education in most cases, unless you prove to be exceptional in some way or another to the institute that you want to go to. So, but either way, I mean, did you have anything else you want to add here? I want to get back into these.
Yeah, no, we'll get back to I was just going to say, like, no, hopefully all this really makes people wake up and say, hey, we really need a big change. Which again, I know that it was that he was saying he's going to be the change to the norm. And yes, we've always had an issue with how our government is. Yes, we know the bureaucracy of it. Yes. And I feel like Democrats should have dove into that a little bit more. And I don't know, man. I've just been told that people just didn't trust because they feel like Democrats pander too much.
Well, I think it was also, I think it was the perfect storm to a certain degree, because you had the Biden situation where that completely got exposed, and it was the whole emperor has no clothes sort of story, where it's like the entire time people were telling you Biden's good, MAGA is fucked up for even talking about his mental condition, and like it's just fucking mean that they do that. And then it's like you see him and it's like, well, unless complete, and then even actually you see him and then the Democrats are still like, it was a bad night, he was tired, we're gonna still run him. It wasn't until like a week later that the pressure was so extreme. And even Biden going on, I think it was 60 Minutes or something. I don't remember exactly what platform it was, but this will stick with me for a long time because it was so insulting. And really, like I said, this might have been what sent me over to Jill Stein. I was like, fuck it, I cannot vote for this shit, because he's like, only Jesus Christ himself could tell me not to run for president. And I'm like, this man has so much fucking hubris. Well, you know what I mean? Honestly,
all it took was a call from Barack.
Jesus Christ, I guess. But yeah, I mean, honestly, so like that was just such an insult to me as a liberal person that it was so obvious that this man, which I'm not a Trump supporter, but that's what he sounded basically like Trump. That's something Trump would say, where he's like, another thing he was saying, nobody else could do this job. He also said that. He said nobody else could do this job.
Which is not okay.
That's fucking psycho to say that. And then to also know that you're shitting your pants at night while you're saying this. And I don't mean shitting your pants because you're scared. I mean, it's incontinence. You're literally experiencing fucking the shits. IBS in your old age. And it's like you're going to get on camera and say only Jesus Christ. Like, be humble a little bit.
Be humble.
Like fucking Christ. All right, so let me make sure these comments are still all right. All right, so so this is back to this is Pete Hegseth still. Remember, he just said, hey guys, keep blaming Biden and keep remember to say that Iran funded all this shit. Yeah. But no, you're all good. No, say it like a hillbilly. Iran.
I'm from South Florida, baby.
So this is still Pete Hegseth, by the way. This is the second half of his message. Waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. Too immediate risks on waiting. One, this leaks, which is what happened, fucking funny enough, and we look indecisive. And it's not that they look indecisive, they look like psychopaths. But Israel, and then number two, Israel takes an action first, or Gaza ceasefire falls apart. Which I thought it already had fallen apart, and Israel had already broken the terms there, but whatever. And we don't get
500 people.
Yeah, so exactly. This guy, what the fuck is he even talking about? And we don't get to start this on our terms. We can manage both. So that's to JD Vance, by the way. He's saying like, this is why it doesn't make sense to wait. And I love how like all the people are pretty much like, except the CIA guy, they're all basically like, yeah, okay, I get why you want to wait, but fuck no, we don't want to wait. We want to go right now. Let's do it now.
We have the intelligence.
It's fucking insane. We are prepared to execute, and if I had final go or no go vote, I believe we should. This not about the Houthis. I see it as two things. This man was obviously drunk when he fucking wrote this. This is a drunken rant. One, restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest. So once again, remember 3% of our shipments come through there. So he's talking about some, this is like some Afghanistan era, George Bush, world police type shit that he's talking about with restoring freedom of navigation for the world, as if we have some responsibility in that. A core national interest. And number two, reestablish deterrence, which Biden cratered. So we just want to remind you guys, blame Biden.
Yeah, which again, drunk, most likely drunk, which was that not what people said would be going on? Because he got in trouble for drinking on the job.
People did say that.
Which again, man, I get it. He's a grown man. He can have a drink at night.
Yeah, of course.
But getting drunk and then doing this, it's like, guys, you know, there are human beings who would be fit for this job that aren't getting drunk at night. You know, people don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
So this is just the finish of the message, but we can easily pause. And if we do, I will do all we can to enforce 100% OPSEC. I welcome other thoughts. Michael Waltz, this is the guy that, if anybody gets fired, he's the one that's going to get fired for this, and he's taken full responsibility and jumped on the grenade here. The trade figures we have are 15% of global and 30% of container. It's difficult to break that down to U.S. specific because much of the containers either going through the Red Sea still or around the Cape of Good Hope. Our components going to Europe. I mean, I feel like I'm having a seizure reading this right now. I don't know what the fuck is going on. That turns into manufactured goods for transatlantic trade to the United States. Okay, I hope the first part of that made sense because reading it felt like it didn't make any sense. And in the end, we got it together. Whether we pull the plug or not today, European navies do not have the capability to defend against the types of sophisticated anti-ship cruise missiles and drones the Houthis are now using. So you're telling me Europe is outgunned by the Houthis? That's fucking concerning. Like I gotta say, they got to get their shit together. The EU, the whole fucking thing. From now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the president's request, we are working with DOD and state to determine how to compile the cost associated with and levy them on the Europeans. So they're trying to get the money back for the military action from the Europeans down the line, which I'm sure that'll go over great. So yeah, I mean, hey, we kind of talked about it as we went. That's the situation as it stands. Yeah, obviously, fuck them and fuck Alabama. Obviously, I can't wait for the season to start. This next season is going to be very interesting. The Gators, we're prime. We're prime. And it might not be this season because I feel like this next season, we need to see some growth.
You guys need some depth.
We might need a little bit of depth, but we have some special players, especially on the offensive side. We need, honestly, they're not going to be ready next year, but over the past 2 years, we've had some defensive line come through
I like Lagway a lot.
Oh, Lagway's awesome. Yeah, so no, excited there.
And they're finally playing for Napier. But I do
that is true.
Because I had to pick Alabama because I'm a homer.
No, of course.
But I have us playing.
And I have to say fuck them. It's not even any disrespect to you.
No, but I have Bama playing Florida in the national championship for basketball.
Oh, yeah, that could happen. That could definitely happen. We're back up on Thursday, I think. Playing, those games. So that's been good. I honestly, I was kind of a little jaded to it. I didn't watch the first couple games, and then I got into it after the fact. At the beginning of March Madness, I was real emo on March Madness. I was like, March Madness is dead. Nobody gives a fuck about this shit anymore.
People love it.
I mean, I'm not really feeling the people loving it as much. I'm not feeling, but maybe I'm just not in the right circles. I think that's probably it. You know, I'm not feeling the excitement.
Jump on
around
this
it.
one because I'm excited.
Well, I mean, I get that as an individual, and I'm sure there's some other individuals, but I feel like other years I would hear people talking about it, like sharing their brackets and all this kind of stuff.
It's just because this isn't a Cinderella, because that's usually Cinderella teams. Yeah. It's not Cinderellas, and people are now mad because NIL killed Cinderellas, which is kind of true. Well, but this is what y'all wanted because Alabama was winning too many championships.
Yeah, no, it was pissing everybody off, including myself. So I'm happy that's not happening anymore. It seems like.
Well, this year.
So let's see here. I had so much shit to go over, but we ended up talking on that for a while.
Tesla stock down because they suck.
Yeah, definitely. One, and I wanted to ask you: do you feel like you've seen kind of Elon Musk taking a little bit of a step back? I have. I feel that's how I feel.
I mean, I haven't seen anything in the past.
Like week and a half. Yeah, I feel like week and a half. Well, I mean, I've seen some things where like I've seen him get asked, and I've obviously seen him on fucking Twitter nonstop.
I've seen him crying about how he's not a bad guy. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I saw clips from the Joe Rogan thing where he's like, they actually want to kill me. I'm like, well, no shit, dude. What the fuck? You suck.
Someone wants to kill everyone. You know?
That's true. If you're a celebrity and you have a big enough audience, there's going to be crazies that watch you. Like if 1 million people are exposed to your content on a daily basis, which is the case in his case, because he tweets all fucking day. So he has like 80 tweets that are seen like 80,000 times a piece. So yeah,
Mr. Beast is trying to solve the child slave.
People tell him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, and he's trying to take slave labor in fucking Africa over